All right, Mag 7 update here on the 15th. I'm going to go over every single one of the 7 stocks. So with Microsoft here, I think it's probably in a third wave. I think this is probably wrong. Or it's in a fourth wave, I mean. Get rid of this. But it doesn't really matter. Let's go over this part right here. This to me looks like third wave right there. And so I think that this is in a fourth wave. And now looking at the fourth wave here, we have an A wave down, we have a B wave up. It's just a matter of how deep is this going to go. Let's draw a parallel line from the bottom. So this says it should have ended a long time ago. So we're just going to focus on this part right here. I think that this could be in a third wave and making a fourth wave here, but it is kind of tricky. This stock's kind of tricky right now. But overall, I would say it is pretty bearish because you're below the 100 and you have the 200 all the way down here at 331. Do I think it's going to go all the way down there? Maybe not, but the 1.61 fib of this A wave is right around that area. It's at 340. So it's possible that it could. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You get something like that. This is kind of a weird third wave too. It doesn't really move very well right now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 maybe. This is a fourth wave and we get a fifth wave down. Option flow is very bearish. Moving averages are very bearish. Let's go to Microsoft. All at the ask puts. And look at this, they're all short term too. That's something that I'm going to take note of in this video. A lot of the options on these Mag 7 are short term. They are not long term. That means that they're pretty confident we're going to go down here short term. Why else would they be buying those? But when you see them buying calls for like 2026, then that doesn't really mean that much to me because that just means they could be averaging into those. You know, it's a hedge, whatever. So Microsoft is pretty bearish short term, potentially down to 340. Let's go to the weekly. I was going to look for some moving averages, or not moving averages, supply and demand, but supply and demand has not really played into the market lately at all. Kind of taking it out. So overall, bearish on Microsoft. Let's go to the next one, Meta. So Meta, I'm overall bearish on too. However, it has bullish option flow this week. And this is one of the more bullish stocks of the Mag 7 because it has not even broken its 200 DMA. So it's actually one of the probably the most bullish out of all the stocks in the Mag 7. But I still think it's in a fourth wave here. What is going on here? I personally think that this is a WXY move. I thought it was a 5-wave move, but it doesn't make any sense when you look at it. Why does it not make any sense? You have 1, 2, 3, 4, back into the first wave, 5. This right here could be a 5-wave move. I'm considering it probably a W wave. I have it as W or 1. This is X or 2. This is Y or 3. And what I'm leaning towards is this being a double X. Because again, the structure of this just kind of seems more like a WXY move. We hit the outside of this. We also hit the 1.61 fib exactly. And then we bounce here. Could that have been the bottom? It looks like an ABC move, and then we come down here and we break the low. So we know that this is not the bottom. We broke the low, and then we come up here and making a lower high so far. So I actually think that we are right here. We're like right here, and we're about to make a move down. I would expect this to probably go down to like 570 at least. But something like this. Potentially more. We just take the length wave W here. This says 550. If we take the length of this right here, it says a little bit lower than that, 547. So I'm overall bearish. I would be bullish potentially if it could get above 633, like short term. But again, I don't see this as an impulse. So 633, but really it has to get above 652. So I think there's more downside on Meta, and you have this demand zone down here at 540. I would be looking at down there, potentially down to the weekly 50. Right here, weekly 50 is kind of what I'm looking at, 554. And I think there's more downside in the short term on Meta and Microsoft so far. Amazon. So Amazon is interesting because, in my opinion, it could have ended right here. This is 5 waves. But what makes the most sense to me is that this might be in an extension. Otherwise, it doesn't really make any sense. Because you have 5 waves here. 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So then what would this be? Could this be A, B, and we're starting a C wave down? That would be a really big drop. So I think this might be an extension. It has came into the first wave, but that's completely fine. It could be a diagonal. If we look at the parallel lines here, if this is a wave 2, it goes through right here, and then this would make this an ABC move lower. So A, B, C lower for a fourth wave, similar to everything else. However, it can come down more. It is below the 200, but it did hold the weekly 50. So it's kind of in between those. I think it can come down a little bit lower next week. Maybe down here to like 185 to 190. And then from there, I think you're probably going to see the fifth wave. This is what I'm looking for. I'm looking for 297 maybe by September. Amazon did not have, I think it had kind of mixed. No, it had bullish option flow. So you have puts here, but then they sold more puts. They sold a call. They bought a lot of calls here. And it's pretty mixed overall, I would say. So that's Amazon. I think this can go higher to 297. Let's go to Apple. Apple. Apple, again, I think this is still in a fourth wave. 1, 2, 3, A, B, C, 4, and then I think it's going to go like that. So it's very bullish. It's kind of similar to Tesla, actually, on a smaller time frame coming down here. I think it's a fourth wave, and I think that it's probably going to come down here to like 198. So it has a little bit more to drop as well. That's about a 5 or 6% drop on Apple. And then I think you're probably going to see a fifth wave up to maybe like 275 or so. And Apple option flow. Again, mixed, pretty mixed overall. I would say slightly bullish, but they did buy some puts. They sold some calls. Pretty mixed. Let's go over NVIDIA. So I think NVIDIA is also in a fourth wave here. Now I've kind of changed my opinion on this. And I think that this is an A wave down. You have an A wave up. And then you have a B wave down here. Could I say this is a C wave? It could be a C wave too. Maybe that is more appropriate. Maybe that is a C wave down. I'll keep that as a potential as well because it did hit my target. But I'm also looking at it potentially as A, B, C, B, and then coming down one more time to like 97 bucks. However, that would not really fit every other stock. So I know short term, I'm just looking for 110 on this. That would fit every other stock if it just came down here to 110 and filled this gap. So this could just be wave 1 of the next move up too. Maybe this is wave 1 and we're looking for wave 2 down here. And we've already started the move up on NVIDIA for wave 5. Did have a pretty big correction. I mean, 33% correction for a fourth wave. So it's possible that it's already done and we're looking at a second wave lower. Options were pretty bearish, but you would expect that if it's going to go back down to 112 to fill that gap for a wave 2. That would be about a 10% drop on NVIDIA, and that would fit about what everything else is probably going to do. Tesla now, again, it can be in a diagonal, but I'm leaning towards the fourth waves being finished sooner than later. So I don't think that this has time to go like this anymore. So I'm looking for this to be the end of the fourth wave again. An impulse down into the fourth wave. I've showed you. I think this can make another low though. I think this can go another low. I think this can go 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3. A, B. Maybe it gets to 258 first and then drops, or it just starts dropping right here. It did not break above. It did not break above this right here at 252. So it could be a second wave here. If it drops immediately on Monday, then it's a second wave. And this would be a third, fourth, and fifth lower. I'd be looking for probably around 200, maybe lower than that, maybe 185 if it were to come down here. And I think it's very likely based on everything else. 10% move would take this down to 225, but Tesla's known for moving more, so it could go a lot lower. Google, let's see what's going on with Google. I actually didn't do this one. I actually own some shares in Google too, but it does not look very bullish at all. And then you have bearish option flows. On the weekly, it's below all moving averages. It can go lower as well. I'll have to get back to you on this one though, because I didn't do any charting on that one. So then SPY, this is the last one I'll do for this video, SPX. So I've gone through this a bunch. There's a guy that I follow on Twitter who's trying to say this is WXY. He's usually pretty good too. I just can't see it though. I can't see this being A, B, and then coming all the way down here. That's pretty bearish overall. So I see this as a fourth wave. I think that makes the most sense as this is in a WXY move, but I'm also watching an impulse. This is a very, very tough formation, but I see this as potentially WXY, double X, same thing as Meta actually, and then potentially coming down here to fill this gap at 53.50. I think there's probably a little bit more downside, but I do think that this is going to hold. I think it's the monthly 20 maybe. Let's see. The monthly 20. Yeah, it's going to hold the monthly 20. It could come all the way down there though. It's below the weekly 50 like I talked about over and over and over. And you have the 100 way lower at like 5,007, I think. Let me see. 100 right here. Yeah, that's a little bit lower than the monthly 20. So I'm going to be watching the monthly 20 now. The monthly 20 is what I'm going to be watching. And it needs to hold that. It's below the weekly 50. I think it's probably going to go lower. I still think this is a fourth wave, though. It's just a very crazy fourth wave because it looks like an impulse. But I think it's actually a 333, and it could come all the way down here to fill this gap at 53.40. And then we should be heading up from there. So I'm going to leave it at that. I did pretty much all the Mag 7. I think that they're mostly all in fourth waves. I'll do a crypto one later in the weekend where I talk about MSTR coin and maybe Mara. So overall, still bullish on the market, but I think that we're probably going to have some pain maybe over the next couple of weeks. And then we're ready to start the next move higher. That's it for this video. Leave me a comment, like, subscribe for more updates, and I'll catch you in the next video.